Hey guys, it's Goldie here back with another video to add on more to your day. Of course, if you're here, you should definitely subscribe to my other channel, Goldie Jr., where I do an ECU Dynasty and a Terrell Britt Road to Glory playthrough. Have a lot of college football content over there that you should definitely check out. But today, I have something different planned. I wanted to review EA College Football 25 since I'm one of the few people that I know that completely, like YouTubers I know, that have not even touched the college football game before this. I mean, most of these guys are comparing it to games like, of course, Madden and NCAA 14, which I've never played before. So this is going to be completely unbiased, how I feel about the game, 6 takeaways, and then my final ranking. Subscribe to both my channels. Let's get into this. The first main takeaway is the game feels different, in most ways better than Madden. Of course, the main difference, in my opinion, is the much faster pace and more arcade feel. You're going to score 30 points in a lot of your games. At least one of the teams are going to score 30 points in almost every game, which is completely different from Madden. Of course, when you're a good offense in Madden, you're probably going to drop 30 a lot anyway. But there's a lot more 40 to 40 games. Both teams dropping 50, 30, 40. And that's it's not just more points. Drives last less long. I've had a lot more 2-minute, 1 minute and a half drives than I did in Madden. It's way rarer to have like a 4-minute drive or a 15-play drive in this game, which definitely gives a different feel. I think the best way to win this game, from what I've seen, is having a great running back and having a great running QB. Jalen Milroe is one of the best players in the game just because of how elusive he is outside and inside the pocket. If you have a good running back, you're usually going to run the ball a lot. Just running the ball in general in this game is really good, especially with all the clean juke and spin moves you can do, and the fact that cutting is way easier and fresher in this game than Madden. It still has animation-based gameplay, which I don't really know much about physics-based gameplay since I've been playing Madden. It's been animation-based. But that's one thing that hasn't changed, and no one expected it to change. In my opinion, I think the games are way more varied and fun than Madden games. In Madden, I feel like usually it's either just a really boring game or you're winning by a blowout. I mean, especially when you get good, there's still no really competitive games. Of course, I've used Georgia, and even when I played against Arkansas, I struggled and had a really fun game. When I played Boise State, I had a really competitive game against Florida. Of course, my second game I played against Alabama and got blown out, but that was my second game of college football ever. A lot of the games are much more fun, and it's really hard to get tired of this game compared to Madden, which has gone stale over the years, in a lot of people's opinion. Presentation and commentary give a fresh view to the game as well. Presentation is pretty much perfect. They hit the nail on the head with this one. Of course, there's some very nitpicky people who have some problems with some of the presentation. Overall, we want more mascots, of course, but for their first game back in 10 years, this is pretty much perfect. Commentary, it is very fresh, but it's a little bit delayed. Like, you'll notice, they'll say what happened 5 seconds after the play. Like, it'll be a 20-yard play, and they say, and that's a big gain there. That's all they'll say the entire play. Of course, in Madden, since they've been commentary for so long, have so many voice lines, they have more intricate dialogue. And sometimes what they just say is wrong. For example, I scored a game-winning touchdown on the last play, and all they said was, and ECU will take the lead here in the fourth quarter, not acknowledging at all that we just got a game-winning touchdown as time expired. Those are some minor issues with the commentary team. Still nice to see 2 of them. Very nice to see different commentary teams for different types of games. I've experienced both of them. I don't really have a favorite. I think they're both just alright. Number 2, there are some negatives, though, to the gameplay. Penalties seem really odd. Not just in a bad way. First of all, there's just more penalties, in my opinion, than there is in Madden, which makes sense. These college guys are going to be making more mistakes. Specifically, more roughing the kicker penalties and more roughing the punter penalties. These are really annoying to deal with, but it makes more sense they happen more commonly because these players are younger and have less football IQ. But the penalties I'm talking about are specifically, there's been some really weird holding calls, weird pass interference calls, and really bad illegal contact calls where if you're on a screen, if you throw a screen and you go to try to get to the player, of course the receiver's going to block you. They go up to block you, but they call a flag on you for making contact with that receiver who engaged with you on the block. That's something that shouldn't be in the game. It's not even in Madden. If such a screen and RPO-based game, this shouldn't be in it at all. It's a pretty big negative. This isn't a negative for me, though. Heisman is really hard. Much harder than All Madden, in my opinion. When you get to the gist of things, All Madden is pretty much really easy, in my opinion. But Heisman, oof. The interceptions, the immediate sacks, the varied offense that the CPU actually does. I will say, as another positive, CPU actually runs the ball in this game. And they run it effectively. And my Madden 24 Patriots franchise, in Season 5, there's probably 2 or 3 teams that ran the ball double digits against me. I think there hasn't been a single team that ran it less than, 15 times against me in EA College Football 25, which is something that should have been in Madden. I'm happy that's in college football, but some people have this as a negative. I have it as kind of in the middle how hard Heisman is. If you're struggling, there's literally nothing wrong with jumping down to All-American or even varsity to get used to the game before you eventually or maybe even never move up the Heisman. It doesn't matter. As long as you're having fun with the game. I have the most fun when the game is at its hardest, though, which is why I like Heisman. Kicking is insanely hard, too. I think this is worse than the Heisman being hard. It's really hard to kick field goals. I think as soon as it hits a 48-yard kick, the meter starts going insanely fast. You have to be very tuned in if you want to hit that kick. It's very fun. But I've seen a lot of people just rage over the difficulty of field goals. But another thing it does is make you want to go for it a lot more like they do in college. So there's positives to these kind of negatives. But this one's a pure negative. The offensive line is literally worse than Madden. And you will know how much I hate the offensive line in Madden if you watch my other channel, Goldie Jr. Blocking is terrible in Madden. The offensive tackles rarely kick fast enough to stop the edge rushers. And that's really the main issue, along with some bad tracking. But the offensive guards are usually pretty good in the center. But in college football, we have that same issue of the offensive tackles, plus insta-sheds and insta-rips, plus the double teams being absolutely useless. So even your guards and centers are looking a lot worse in this game. This is my biggest issue in all of college football 25. The blocking is almost making this game play really far down on my list. If this blocking was even decent, this would probably be by far my most fun playing game. But I still really enjoy the gameplay, even with the terrible blocking. Just boost it up in your sliders, and even then it's still kind of hard to deal with. But even with that major negative, I get gameplay at 8.5 out of 10 just because of how mindlessly fun it is. Of course, you can easily call the best plays for every situation, but I enjoy trying all these jet sweeps and options and flea flickers and just having the most fun. That's how I enjoy this game play the most. Number 3, we got new practices in Road to Glory. My favorite is pocket presence. I like having to hit the targets as well as moving, making sure you don't get hit by the balls or you lose your multiplier. So you can easily rack up the score if you're playing carefully, but if you're not, you could even go as low as bronze. I enjoy pretty much all the practices. I even enjoy target passing a little bit now. Specifically, pocket pressing and pocket presence and the option attack are more complex and fun than the Madden practices. Option attack is more interesting because now you have a third option and you can pitch out. It's completely way more interesting than Madden's version. But I will say, for the one Road to Glory I've done, the QB, position battles may be too easy. I cooked Hudson Card. I beat him in all 3 practices in blowout fashion, so maybe I need to make them a little bit more hard so you're not just winning every time. But, quarterback Road to Glory, I'm adding this in the practice section, is pretty hard with how bad the offensive line is. If you're using a field general instead of an improviser or scrambler, you're getting sacked a lot. Even with a fast QB, you're going to have unavoidable sacks. But I will say, Road to Glory is kind of stale outside of the gameplay. No cutscenes, which the cutscenes in Madden are kind of corny, but really the only kind of interactions you're having are from text messages from your teammates and stuff. Teammates, academic advisors, NIL deals, coaches, things like that. Those are the people you're going to get text messages from. The texts have a lot of interesting dialogue, but nothing really completely immersing you in the game. The weekly agenda has interesting outcomes, such as losing intelligence in GPA, wear and tear, is also implemented into it. And Intelligence and GPA are pretty important here because I've seen somebody get kicked off the team or at least benched, I'll say, because they kept failing tests. So you do need to keep your GPA up, and the text messages do affect that. Wear and tear is also implemented in the weekly agenda because if you keep practicing getting XP up, you don't heal, you'll be much worse during the game, and it's a very big problem. You'll lose up to 5 speed, throw power, things like that. And speed matters a lot when you're always escaping from the pocket. But one negative, I would just like more immersion and connection to your players and teammates. Your player is pretty bland in personality, at least, because you choose the text messages. Except for some interesting dialogue, which you can see by watching other people's Road to Glory, even my Road to Glory. And your teammates don't really do much. Anything they do is pretty stale. I'll give Road to Glory a 7 out of 10 just because I really do enjoy playing as one quarterback. I'll be trying other positions later, maybe giving more updates on that. But Road to Glory gets a 7 out of 10 for me. Number 5, recruiting is great. It's realistically hard to recruit with lower tier schools and way easier to recruit with top tier schools. I mean, year 1 of ECU, you can see it took me over half the first year to even get a couple of decent recruits. Both of my first commits were 2 stars, and it took me a long time to get my first 3 and 4 stars. But I've tried recruiting with Iowa, and you can get recruits as early as week 0. Commits as early as week 0. It's a huge difference, and it's realistic, which I love about it. It's really hard to get good recruits with only 400 or even less hours to work with, compared with up to 1,000 hours with the top tier colleges. It's really engaging. It hurts to see your prospects choose another school, and amazing to see prospects commit to your school. As you can see in the bottom, Jeff Austin was my first 4-star to commit to ECU, week 7 or 8 possibly, maybe a little later. I'm not exactly sure. But around a little bit later than midway through the season, Jeff Austin committed. That was great. I had 2 different 4-stars choose a different school. Now I have 4-star pick Coastal Carolina over me. A 4-star tackle, I believe. It was like Coastal Carolina or somebody. And I had a 3-star gem running back choose Liberty over me. Those hurt because I was really interested in both of those players. It really hurts to lose 4 stars and gems in this. The transfer portal is fast and vital for plucking holes. I learned that a 4-star transfer portal guy can be an 81 overall, while a 4-star normally is like a 60 or low 70 overall. So yeah, if you need just immediate talent, the transfer portal needs to be focused on. It's way faster. It only takes 4 or 5 weeks till you're done. And it's just a good experience, much like recruiting, but a little bit different in some ways. Some people want it to be impossible to recruit 4 and 5 stars as a 1-star program, which I disagree with. I get the point. Why would ECU be able to get Jeff Awesome, a gem 4-star corner, when they haven't proven anything to anybody? I get that. It's a little bit unrealistic. But how much fun would this be if you were stuck at least for 3 years with 2 and 1 stars each and every year? It wouldn't be fun. Sure, it's not realistic, but if you're a good enough recruiter, you deserve to be able to be rewarded with that by a couple good players every year. Of course, I'm doing a lot better in my second year because my prestige went up and stuff like that. But I do enjoy the fact that you can get decent players if you focus on them enough and if they're close enough to your school. Completely disagree with the motion that it should be impossible to get 4 and 5 stars. Maybe impossible to get 5 stars in year 1, but I think it should be possible to get 4 stars early on. Recruiting is a 10 out of 10 for me. I really see no flaws with it. It's really immersive, really fun. You have to check it in every week. The hour system is really good. Pretty much everything about recruiting is enjoyable. Number 6, other features in Dynasty. I hope they add spring practice and a spring game next time. Now, I want to do something gameplay-wise in the offseason. There's literally nothing, which isn't a big deal because offseason is still pretty enjoyable. Got an hour out of it without even having a draft. But I would like to be able to see my team play some... Even if they don't have a full spring game, offense versus defense, or first team versus second team, I would still like to see something like spring practice, some training, get your players some extra XP or whatever, however they upgrade this game. That'd be enjoyable. Not a big need, but I would like something like that in the upcoming game or whatever. Seeing school and conference records are cool. Being able to see players you know in the NFL have records in their college or in their conference is a really nice addition. Noticing Zay Jones, I think, was a leader for one college. I can't remember exactly who, but Zay Jones was an important player. He's completely random, too, so seeing players you never really remember being great in the NFL, being pretty good in college, just adds to the immersiveness of trying to make your school one of the best. Coach upgrading is very in-depth. Make use of points wisely. I really, really like coach upgrading. If you want to be an elite coach at any way, you have to get a top 5 recruiting class or get players to be drafted in the first round or win bowl games. It is not simple. You have to be a great coach before you have to be a great team before you can become a great coach. You have to play well or recruit well or have good stars, which makes it so even when you have a lot of coach points, you can't just sim a year, go 0-12, and then expect to become an elite recruiter. No, you gotta recruit some good classes too. I like coaching a lot. I like coaching upgrades a lot. Every Group of 5 conference even has a big game feel. This is more gameplay, but also part of Dynasty because Dynasty is where these games really matter. Even when I was going against teams like Tulsa or Temple or even Navy, because of the stakes that were onto those games, even though I'm a 5-4 win school at those times, I still feel like these games are important. Even though it's a Group of 5 conference game, which doesn't seem to matter at all, I still really enjoy these games, especially today where I play North Carolina, which since it was a rivalry, people actually came to my school and gave it a completely different feel. There's a lot of different ways to immerse you in this game. They did really well with that, even when you're a Group of 5 nobody school. Oh yeah, changing your non-con games is a fun way for a unique experience. Being able to choose your non-con games is pretty neat. For example, this year, I chose 2 schools, Coastal Carolina and Liberty, who stole some of my recruits trying to get some revenge. Just being able to choose a non-con game is such a simple thing, but it's a thing that makes it even more like you're in control, just like in real life. Schools choose their non-con games. But Dynasty's a 9 out of 10. If there was some other features, I'll make it a 10 out of 10. But recruiting is 10 out of 10. Dynasty is a whole 9 out of 10, which is really high. And CFB's 25's final rating is 8.5 out of 10. The Bucs bring the game down the most. Weird penalties, terrible pass and run blocking, glitchy formations, but overall it's the most fun I've had playing a Madden game since 17. Or I guess an EA game, since this isn't technically Madden. But, yeah, I had a ton of fun. There's some major problems with the gameplay, I will say that. But in all, if you play a random game, you're probably not going to notice much of them besides the blocking, I'll say. Most of them are just kind of, if you play for an extended period of time, you're going to have fun on pretty much 99% of the games you play in this. No matter if you're blowing out a lower tier score or having the game of your life against Alabama. Dynasty is a breath of fresh air from the formula of the draft and free agency. Even though I love the draft. But the free agency and the draft continuation pretty much gets stale every year. I mean, every year for, 10 years since EA College Football come out, is free agency and scouting, then the draft. I've never done anything different than that, because that's the only thing I've had to do, because I haven't played college football before. Dynasty's completely different, off-season, during the season, pretty much everywhere. Big changes. Road to Glory has some potential, but needs more fleshing out. I very much enjoyed doing my Total Break Road to Glory. Can't really do a different position later on, but it's just not fully fleshed out like I feel like Dynasty is. This game is a must-play for college football fans, and hopefully with patches incoming, it won't die anytime soon. And I don't expect it to. I don't expect it to die anytime soon. And if you're a college football fan, you should play this game. It's a modern take on the college football world. And now with Team Builder, there's even more ways to customize your experience. Highly recommend. And that's going to be it for me. Make sure to check out my ECU Dynasty series on Goldie Jr. and my Terrell Britt Road to Glory series and any other old playlists I have on my channel. I've been doing YouTube for 3 years now. I'm kind of a veteran. But enjoy this one. If you enjoyed this one, subscribe to both channels. Follow Drew Bands on Twitter. On Twitch. He has a great Twitch platform. He's a current Arkansas receiver 1. Definitely go follow him. See you guys next time. As always, adios.